I evicted my stepbrother and his mom after they tried to sell my grandmother's house. When my grandmother passed away 2 years ago, she left me her old seaside cottage, the one where I'd spent every summer growing up. It wasn't much, but it was ours. It had the creaky floors, the blue shutters, the smell of salt in the air. Every inch of it felt like her. My dad remarried a few months later to a woman named Carla. She had a teenage son, Brandon, who was a few years younger than me. I tried to get along, but they both acted like the world owed them something. Carla immediately started dropping hints about renovations and how this old place could use a modern touch. I kept reminding her, it's my house. Grandma's will had made that very clear. At first, she played the sweet stepmom act, brought me coffee, asked about my job, even pretended to like gardening with me on weekends. But then I started noticing little things disappearing. Grandma's porcelain tea set, the antique mirror she'd loved, even her hand-stitched quilt. When I asked Carla about it, she said, "Oh, I donated them. They were just collecting dust." That was my first warning sign. A few months later, I got a text from a local real estate agent saying he wanted to confirm the showing time for the property. I thought he had the wrong number, until I saw the listing online. My grandmother's house. Photos of every room, my room, grandma's old armchair, even her seashell collection by the window, listed for sale. The contact? Carla Reynolds. I drove there immediately. When I walked in, Carla and Brandon were literally showing the house to a young couple. She was spinning some ridiculous story about downsizing before the baby arrives. I interrupted her mid-sentence and said, "That won't be necessary. You're not selling anything." Her face went white. The buyers awkwardly left, and Carla started shouting that she had every right because Dad had agreed. But here's the thing. Dad didn't own a single brick of that house. Grandma had left it entirely in my name. When I told her that, she laughed and said, "You're 24. You don't even know what to do with a property. You should be thanking me." Brandon, standing behind her, muttered, "Yeah, it's just an old shack anyway." That's when I saw it, a stack of boxes by the door. They'd already started packing my things. My books, my clothes, even the framed photo of Grandma on her porch swing. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked to the living room, opened the drawer under Grandma's old lamp, and pulled out the file she'd made, the deed. I slid it across the table and said, "You have 1 week to get out. Both of you." Carla's fake smile cracked. "You can't kick out your own family," she yelled. I told her, "Family doesn't try to sell the only piece of your grandmother you have left." When Dad heard, he begged me to reconsider. Said Carla was pregnant and they'd have nowhere to go. I reminded him that I'd warned him when they moved in. The cottage wasn't a charity project. He called me heartless. I said, "Grandma left this house to the person she trusted most. And after this, I finally understand why." 1 week later, Carla and Brandon were gone. They didn't even bother cleaning up. But when I walked through the empty house, it felt lighter. No manipulation. No guilt. Just the quiet hum of the ocean outside and the creak of the floorboards under my feet. Like Grandma was still there, saying, "Good job, kid." That night, I made tea in her old chipped mug, sat by the window, and finally felt at peace. Follow for more.